Hi, I am Enyinnaya-Okidi, and in this video, I'll be going over a fundamental concept in computer programming, which is the creation of loops. A loop is a sequence of instructions that a program is wired to continually repeat until a specified condition is reached. Now, this condition is known as a stop condition, and in Python, which is the programming language you're going to be using in this video, it is always specified within the loop declaration. Loops in Python use either the for or while keyword, or they can be a nested loop, which is when a loop exists within the body of another loop. So in this video, I'm going to be walking you through the process of using a for loop. Okay, so to have an idea of what the code will look like without using a loop, if we were to print the numbers in the Fibonacci sequence, we'll have to write everything out using the print statement. So for example, in this sequence, the next one would be to print the number 2. But you can see how tedious this is going to be if you had to print like 100 numbers. So to create our loop, we're first going to set up some of the variables that we're going to need. So we're starting to create our loop. We're just going to say for x in the range from 2 to 10, separating the two numbers with a comma. Then we're going to have to set up our loop inside. So just to explain what this line does, we've created an integer x, which is going to be starting from the number 2 and ending at 10. So that means in this loop, we're going to make it repeat for 8 times. We're now going to create another variable called f of x, which is going to be the sum of the first two variables that we created. Within this loop, we're going to update the values that we had already set for f of 0 and f of 1. So we're going to make f of 0 to be, so we're going to make f of 1 to be equal to f of 2. And now we're going to update the variable that we called f of x, which is going to make f of 1 to be equal to whatever f of x is. So as we can see, just using 5 lines of code, we're able to accomplish what a code for 10 lines of code would have done. So now looking through the code that we have set up our variables f1 and f2. We print them so that we have the first two values in the sequence, and then we use the for loop. And when we run the code, just to check if it works. So the first numbers we see here, 0, 1, 1, 2, are the numbers that we printed above using the regular string literals and the print statements. But then, if you see the ones that we used the for loop to create, you see how it gives us the first 10 numbers of the Fibonacci sequence. We have 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, and 34. And these numbers and creating this result was way easier, required less writing of code, and it's more readable because we have our comments and we have been able to reduce the amount of code we actually had to write while using a for loop. So in computer programming, the importance of loops cannot be overstressed and they cannot be overemphasized because as we can see, even just through the little snippet of code that we have here, a for loop greatly creates convenience when we code. And apart from even making code more readable and making it less tedious to write, for loops are also useful in certain kinds of codes that we use. For example, when we need to create increment values or we need to loop through elements such as lists or tuples, for loops can prove to be very useful. So this is a very important skill to learn and to know, especially when you go into programming in-depthly.